Welcome to another episode of the Expat Life Lessons, a podcast made for you if you're an expat to really help you on your journey, to really help you reflect on what you want and to create that life that you want, no one else. And today is truly about your sense of self confidence, which will allow you to start trusting yourself more and more and your journey as well. So we'll talk about how can you strengthen it, how can you feel more connected with yourself, and even when things feel like then they are falling apart. Not only this, but we will also talk about what lessons you can take from the past and how you can trust yourself for the future. You know, I've been there. When I moved to Edinburgh for the first time, I honestly didn't have the self confidence at all in living an expat life like I have nowadays. Because even though I had been through challenges for sure, it was a completely new situation for me, which I didn't know if I could handle. It was challenging for sure. But you know what? It is when we step outside of our comfort zones and into a more challenging zone that we start building up our sense of self confidence. Sometimes we might think it is through affirmations, through journaling. And don't get me wrong, those things are really powerful. But you know what? The most powerful thing is taking yourself outside of your comfort zone, even though that can be uncomfortable. Because the more that you step outside of it and you prove to yourself over and over again, no matter what area it is, that you are okay after facing any challenges that life throws at you, the more your sense of self confidence will grow and grow and grow. But well, coming back to the expat life and the challenges I faced, after facing the challenge of being a new expat in Edinburgh with no experience in this kind of life whatsoever, when I started feeling a bit more confidence, bam, I needed to move again. I was laid off. I got a new job opportunity in Switzerland. And so I moved 1 year after. And when I moved, even though I was already confident in my ability to make friends, I really was not confident in my ability to speak a new language. And honestly, I felt lost. I felt like I didn't really know where my journey was taking me. I didn't know what would await me, and that felt really scary. And you know what? My self confidence was different somehow. Even though in talking a language it was not the best, in general, in my expat life, since I had proven to myself that I could make really strong friendships in my year in Edinburgh, I felt that, okay, I have felt like this before and I growed through it. So I knew no matter how challenging it might be, I would get through it again here and build a life I really loved, no matter how long that could take, because that would be outside of my control. And honestly, that is one of the reasons why I do what I do nowadays, because I know how challenging it can be. I know how this overwhelm can really shake our sense of self confidence. Because for anyone that doesn't know, I'm an expat coach and I help expats navigate this sense of uncertainty, this sense of overwhelm where we don't even know where to turn next. As an expat, to be very honest with you, and I have felt like this before as well, our levels of stress can be heightened so much. And sometimes we might ask ourselves, what am I even doing? What do I even want in my own life? And you know what? I can imagine that by simply being an expat, your sense of self confidence is already higher than many other people because you have been through fearful experiences like moving abroad, whether by yourself or someone else. So, one thing I always say is please take a moment to recognize how brave you are because it is scary to move to a new country, even if you move with someone else. It's like you shake your life completely. And in the beginning, that is really scary. And you survived. And you know what? Right now, no matter what you're going through, you know deep down that you can survive this. Now it's time to start showing yourself that you can take it one step further and move towards anything you want, whether you call it goals, New Year resolutions, whatever it is. Maybe you want to feel more confident that you'll be able to make friends, maybe to meet a partner, or simply to be happy where you are. But I know many times it feels hard to believe those things because the future looks so uncertain. The truth is, we can't control it, the future, no matter how many things we would like to control and how many outcomes we would like to control. We just can't. But you know what we can reflect on? It is on where we want our journey to take us and who we want to become. I know sometimes it is hard to believe that we can do hard things, especially if it's in a new field or a completely new area in your life. And one important step of trusting yourself and your journey is knowing that you can shift things if you want. It is knowing that you will be able to recognize when life is not aligned with what you want, that you'll be able to take a step out of that comfort of that autopilot living, and that you will be able to take the steps to change it. So, okay, let's stop for a minute. And if you are in a quiet environment or if you have 1 minute, I would like to invite you to take a few deep breaths with me because I know this can be overwhelming for many of you. And it was as well for me. So let's do it together. Again, you know, there are many ways of doing breathing techniques. And if you want to know more about that, you can DM me on Instagram. But one of my favorite ways is really like you breathe in, you touch your hand, and we don't have a video here, but you just touch your finger, you touch your thumb, and then you go with your other hand up in a finger and you breathe in, down in the same finger and you breathe out, and then again and again until you start feeling calmer. Because it's when you feel calmer that you can take all of this that I'm telling you, that you can take it in, that you can really resonate more with it, that you can really think, okay, how does this apply in my own life? What can I take from this episode? Now, I want you to think about your past self. When was a time that you decided to make a change in your life? When was even a time where you saw how much you had grown? When was a time where you felt you needed to change things? So you did. So I'll ask you to stop here because I don't know how long you need. But pause me and really reflect on these questions. And if you don't remember them, go back 30 seconds, 1 minute, and re listen to them. I hope you have paused me and that you have reflected on this. And you know why I'm asking you these things is for you to see that you can do hard things. I can imagine being life. You have faced hard things and you have managed to change things in your journey. Your journey is not set in stone. You can adjust it as you go. And that is one of the most important things in trusting your journey is knowing that you can adjust as you go. Even if you know what you want right now, in the future, if that changes, trusting yourself that you can change and you can adapt is one of the most important skills that I work with clients. And is really knowing that you can adjust as you go. And the more that you show yourself that one skill, adaptability to anything, the more you know that you can adapt to anything that life throws at you. Talking about trusting your journey, let me ask you this. Let's put goals to the side for a moment, resolutions to the side, whatever you want to call it. What do you want? No matter if it's this week, this month, this year, or for your life, what comes to your mind when I ask you this? What do you want? I remember when I was in Edinburgh back in 2018, and I asked myself that same question, and I thought, I honestly don't know. I felt like I couldn't really look that far because I had no idea how my life was going to look like in a 1 year time. And looking back now, while being a coach, sometimes I think about this, about what would I tell my past self, because that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because I know the struggles of being a new expat or even of being an expat for a few years. And what I would tell my past self would be it's okay not to be able to look in the further future. What I would tell a client that's going through this, I would say it's okay to think simply about what you want for your life in the next week, in the next month, in the next 3 months. And honestly, you don't need to know everything. Simply, what would you like to feel in your own life? What would you like to do more of and less of? And how would you like even for your relationships to be like, your hobbies, your job? And that is how we can zoom out. We can take a step back to truly give ourselves the space to think 1 month at a time, especially when we are not sure how our life is going to look like in the future. Because you know what? If we had stayed in our home country, the truth is maybe we would have known. Maybe we would find someone, and then the goal was get a house, kids, the job, and we would stop there. I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but usually when we become an expat, it's like the way that I see it, it's like a million doors open, and there are so many possibilities in our life. So the future can look a bit more blurry, and that's okay. Nothing is wrong because of that. We simply might prefer to take it more one step at a time than one huge leap at a time. Now, maybe a harder question for you. Do you think you can get it? If you trusted your path and your journey, how could you adjust it right now in a way that increases the chances of reaching what you want? Sometimes we stop ourselves, from thinking about what we want because we are too afraid of not being able to get it. But what if we don't get what we want because we don't give ourselves the chance to reflect on it and to think about our future? This is where the challenge zone comes in once again. So, first, let's break it down again what you want. Let's say you answered, I want to feel at home because that's one of the things that my clients tell me the most. How would your life look like if you did? How much, how would that feel like? And now maybe that looks like making friends, and maybe you don't feel that confident in your ability to create friendships. How could you challenge yourself a little bit here, even if you don't believe it right now? What is one thing you could do differently to come out of your comfort zone? So, before we wrap up today, there is one other thing I wanted to talk about in trusting your journey. And that is when you think everything is going well. Maybe you have a partner, maybe you have a group of friends, and suddenly there is a breakup. Or maybe your friends move out, and what you had imagined for your future ends up being quite shattered, and you are left feeling like you don't know what to do next. If that is happening right now, what I want you to focus on is accepting those emotions. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve a life that you thought you would have. And that now you don't even know what is to come anymore. And take it one step at a time, focusing on simply how can you feel 1% better each day. And the better you feel, start looking back at how you were able to overcome challenges in your life in the past and showing yourself that you can overcome this as well in the future. And now let me ask you this. How do you want to feel in the future? How would that look like in your life? What is one tiny, tiny step you can take this week to move towards that vision? So, this is what I had for you today, an episode about trusting yourself and your journey, an episode about accepting where you are right now, about giving yourself self compassion in your own life, and even challenging yourself a bit to increase your sense of self confidence in your own life. And if you are loving this podcast, I'm doing a giveaway. So if you share this podcast and you tag me on Instagram at coaching.by.mariana, it will be on the show notes as well. And for anyone doing that, I will give you a session of 45 minutes of coaching on anything that you like. So share this and you'll get that coaching session. And I'll see you next time. Bye.